these names that need to be put out there, people need to know about these people, have been redacted. So it's a little bit confusing. I feel like, again, the DOJ, the justice system, is failing us.
The long-awaited release of documents tied to convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein has finally arrived. But instead of clarity, many survivors say it has brought fresh frustration. Thousands of pages were made public by the U.S. Department of Justice late Friday, released under the Epstein Files Transparency Act, a law requiring full disclosure by a legal deadline. Yet what survivors and lawmakers found instead were heavy redactions, missing files, and unanswered questions. Several Epstein survivors say the DOJ's release feels incomplete and, in some cases, insincere. Epstein survivor Liz Stein told the BBC that survivors are deeply concerned about what she described as a slow rollout of incomplete information without any context. Stein said the Justice Department appears to be, quote, really brazenly going against the Epstein Files Transparency Act. Her message was simple: survivors want everything out in the open. Another survivor, Marina Lacerda, who says she was abused by Epstein at the age of 14, also voiced anger over the redactions. She questioned who the redactions are really protecting.
Just put out the files and stop redacting names that don't need to be redacted. It's just, who are we trying to protect? Are we protecting the survivors, or are we protecting these elite men that need to be put out there? And people need to know these are predators that are in the files. They need to be brought to justice so they can stop doing this in the long run. It's for everyone's safety at the end of the day. I haven't gone through all of it, so I don't want to speak, I don't want to say the wrong things, but I do understand that also a lot of important, people have been redacted from it. And the whole process of being transparent was to only redact the survivors and the victims' names. So here we are, right where we started with the first files. These names that need to be put out there, people need to know about these people, have been redacted. So it's a little bit confusing. I feel like, again, the DOJ, the justice system, is failing us. In the beginning, they were calling us a hoax, right? They were like saying that we were a hoax. And now they're like, we believe you, we're going to release the files. But yet you still haven't released the files, and it's not even full transparent. So it's very nice to say it, but it's also nice to actually do it.
Among the newly released documents is a written report that has stunned survivors and legal advocates alike. It confirms that a former Epstein employee, Maria Farmer, went to the FBI in 1996, nearly 3 decades ago, asking them to investigate Epstein for possessing child pornography.
Maria Farmer was a professional artist. She was about 25 years old. She had graduated from the New York Academy of Art, a figurative arts school in New York, and she was working as an employee for Jeffrey Epstein in New York City. She has consistently and repeatedly said that in 1996, in the summer of 1996, she reported Jeffrey Epstein to the FBI after having reported him to the New York Police Department. She reported Epstein, and she reported Ghislaine Maxwell as well for child sex abuse crimes, including child pornography. We've spent many years trying to get her records through Freedom of Information Act requests, which are the classic way to get them. The most recent Freedom of Information Act request I made was I got a response in January 2025, that's earlier this year, and they told me that they wouldn't get back to me before November 2027 to just answer my request. And this has been and when we've seen anything from the government, which is infrequent, it's highly redacted information. And we've never seen anything before corroborating her 1996 report, but we just saw it yesterday for the first time in 30 years, which is remarkable, really remarkable. All we know right now from the documents is that there was a clear and corroborated report that Maria Farmer did exactly what she has said for 30 years that she did. She reported Epstein to the authorities, to the federal authorities, to the FBI. And as far as we can tell, and I wish I knew, Kristen, I wish I had more information out of the files or otherwise, it looks like the government did absolutely nothing. And as a result, having done nothing, having failed to act, horrible things have happened. Had they acted, had they investigated in even the smallest way, they could have stopped him. And it's not just the victims, it's also the victims' families, because it affects not just that person, but everyone they deal with, their loved ones, the people that they come in contact with, their ability to function in society. So it affected thousands of lives, and they could have spared that for those thousands of people, and they could have avoided 30 years of trauma if they had just done their job. One of the key things we want to accomplish with this release of files is transparency. Another key thing is belief, restoration of public trust in the institutions. And a third thing is accountability. And so far, we're not hitting any of those marks. Maria said it beautifully to me yesterday. She said it's tears of joy and tears of sadness. Tears of joy because she's now validated. She's vindicated. Yes, she did what she said she did. And that the world can now see that. And all those naysayers, and there have been a lot of naysayers accusing her of not telling the truth, who disregarded her, discarded her, dismissed her for so many years, decades. She now has some kind of corroboration and vindication that this is true. And the sadness, the tears of sadness, because look at the waste of the 30 years. And not only for her, but for so many victims, whether it's Virginia Giuffre or all the other survivors who didn't have to be subjected to this kind of child sex crime.
By Saturday, at least 15 files that were briefly available had disappeared from the DOJ website. According to CBS, one missing file showed framed photographs on Epstein's desk, including images of Bill Clinton and the Pope, and a photo of Trump, Epstein, and Maxwell inside an open drawer. Other missing materials reportedly included images of a room resembling a massage space, as well as nude photos and artwork. The DOJ has not explained why those files were removed. In a post on X, the Justice Department said that materials are still being reviewed and redacted, quote, in an abundance of caution. Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche said the DOJ identified more than 1,200 victims or relatives and withheld information that could expose them. The department says redactions were made to protect victims, avoid releasing explicit material, safeguard ongoing investigations, and protect national security.